You need to read or write, 1,000 poems in order to kind of sink into that gift of what poetry gives to you. And flexibility is so important in life anyway.
Yeah.
It can prevent, injuries, problem. It prevents the body talking to you, because you cannot be skillful if you are not flexible. You have to have accumulation of repetitions. And during this accumulation of repetitions, the body adapts to all the movements and so on, and everything becomes easier, more fun. Once you have a goal, it makes you humble right away.
Sometimes going to philosophy or writing or poetry, getting out of that kind of one energy into more of a creative energy, you can actually find the answers to what you're looking for in the other end.
Once you get into the debate with the fatalist, you will never win. The wisdom of life is to fall in love with something what you don't like, but it's good for you. Awareness is created in your mind of those voices, and you victimize yourself in a way. So you act like that. Mm-hmm. And when you blame, do the same thing. You don't put yourself into a situation of trying to find a solution. It blocks you from the solution.
What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me and welcome to the show. So I've been excited for this one for a long time. Jerzy Gregorek, the world-renowned weightlifting coach and creator of the Happy Body program, joins me on the podcast today. So Jerzy is a legend in the world of strength and conditioning. I first heard of him from his work that he did with Tim Ferris on the Tim Ferris podcast. He's been on other world-renowned podcasts and has been a staple in strength and conditioning for over 3 decades with his coaching. So it was an absolute blast to talk with him, to dive deep into his practice, his origin story of how he got into this world of strength and conditioning, going into the Happy Body program. But the work that he talked about on the mental side of strength, of the 5 different voices that we communicate with in our own minds, the master versus the fatalist, is absolutely incredible. I got so much out of this one to take into my own life, and I'm sure you will at the same time too. So take notes on this one or go back and listen to it. You're gonna want to, because Jerzy really threw some incredible insights in here. So, all right, I'll get right to the show. Enjoy it. I'll catch you on the inside. All right, let's get this started. Jerzy, it is really an honor to have you on. I've been a huge fan for a while, so I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm excited.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. There's so many different topics that I want to dive into you. You're kind of such a renaissance man in this world, but from seeing a lot of the work that you've done over the decades in not only Olympic weightlifting, but as we were just speaking before the podcast, we just started getting rolling anyway. We're like, we better get this started. The work that you've done in writing and creating your products as well is just really fascinating. So I'm really excited just to dive in. We'll just get rolling.
Yeah, it's necessity, when you have something hard to really grow or progress, then things appear and then you respond to it. And it depends, what you have to respond to, right? Sometimes it's poetry, sometimes it's Stoicism, sometimes, is just exercise. So it's just, or nutrition. So it really depends, but it's a constant growth, constant challenges presented when you want to improve yourself or improve somebody or help somebody to improve, right? Mm-hmm. So that comes right away with challenges. And once the challenges are presented, then you try to figure out how to help. And you never know where it takes you when you work with people on hourly basis and you have 8 people a day. Mm-hmm. And they bring you different challenges. And because of that, those challenges can take you to poetry or can take you to philosophy. And you say, okay, well, we need to do something about that. Okay, so let's maybe poetry, right?
It is interesting because I first remembered hearing of you from a talk with Tim Ferris when he was talking about Stoicism. And I believe he had a quote, from you in one of those talks. And it's interesting you said that about solving problems, because I was even in that mind of, when you're in that work of trying to solve a physical problem, you're trying to solve it with just solution, when sometimes going to philosophy or writing or poetry, getting out of that kind of one energy into more of a creative energy, you can actually find the answers to what you're looking for in the other end as well. So that was one of the first times I remember hearing of you in that talk. And
we're mixture of a lot of crafts. And one of those is knowledge. I think that knowledge is really important. Science, knowledge, we read, what the body is and how it's built and, how it moves, and this is all knowledge, right? But then it is really necessary to motivate people, to tell them, about science, how the body works, and, why is it that way or not that way, like calories, for example. So then, or ideal body weight. Then there is a philosopher, then the one that is thinking, that one that tries to understand what happens and who we are and why we believe this way or not way, how we develop habits, right? And then there is of course, artists, and the art is really important in human growth, because it brings us to almost like meditation, brings us to situations when they are really hard, and situations when poets actually overcame something really difficult, really hard in life. And then when it happened, when you read a poem like that, you can actually place yourself in the position that you can also overcome that. So it's very inspirational in that way. It gives you some distance and acceptance of the hard choice. And you can find it in the feelings while reading the poem. It doesn't, you're not aware of it, but it happens. So, you need to read or write, 1,000 poems in order to kind of sink into that gift of what poetry gives to you. And that creates this space inside, that acceptance space. Yeah. There is a spiritual, part of us that is connected more to the planet, the care for the planet, and care what happens to us, and so on and so on. So that brings, more philosophy like Tao and a care for what's enough. Is it really important to have a lot, and how much is a lot, how much is enough, what is a good life, right? And all of it somehow. And there's the physical part, right, of our life that is really extremely important, because that's the one that the body is communicated to us with. And if something is wrong, is telling us that something is wrong. That's why, sometimes I tell people that we created the happy body, so the body doesn't talk to us. That's
perfect. Yeah, just leave us alone.
When the body doesn't talk to you, well, it's a good life, right?
That's so funny. That is so true, right?
When the body's not talking, right? You pay attention first, and you really listen, and you have the chance to fix it right away. Yeah. If you don't, the body will talk to you back even more. So it means more pain, right?
That's so, it's like a good sports game. When you don't hear about the referees, then they're doing their job. Like, you don't want them out in front. It's the same thing. It's interesting, Jerzy, that, because with that spiritual side, we talk about a lot, but a lot of times I think people forget to actually that there's work and there's actions that you can do for that, like writing. And that's what I love of what you've done, is you've really explored that side in action, along with the physical side of all the work that you've done in Olympic weightlifting. And that's kind of where I wanted to start this too, because I know you started Olympic weightlifting at an early age, what, about like 13 years old or so? What was it about Olympic weightlifting that got you intrigued, all those years ago?
I was not tall. I don't want to say I was short. Short is really, it's like when you say short, you really say something negative. Right? But you say I was not tall. Not bad. Well, I was not strong. So, boys were bigger, so bullied me and so on. So I tried to, find antidote for that, like what is the solution? Yeah. So there were two teams in my city. One was weightlifting and the other one was boxing. So boxing really didn't go with me. They kind of didn't like it. But weightlifting really did. So I went to the coach and talked to the coach, and coach checked me and then accepted me to the team. And then once I was on the team, of course, I was not progressing fast because, coaches, in the East, they will not progress. They will not progress too fast. You're slow. First think what needs to be done is flexibility and mobility, and then skills, and then, you get power. But right away, the news spread that I am the part of Olympic weightlifting team, like in a city. But if you are the part of a team, like in a city somewhere, that's a big thing, because you have 40 guys behind you in a way, right?
Okay.
Kind of you are inside of that thing, and you slowly, develop, hijack, and then and somebody else, right? Develop the friendship and on and on. But the news spread very fast that you are the part of the team. So they leave you alone. Like, so, and that's a beautiful thing when people leave you alone. Right? So they don't back. So all the bullies kind of stop right away during that time because of that. It's like in America, the people leave you alone in a way, right? In Europe, they will bag you more, but America is a really beautiful country. It's just like first time I was left alone to myself. I'm responsible, right? I'm free, but also I need to be responsible, and that I can build the independence. I've never seen that system. This is just America. It's just wow. This is right. I love to be here.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. So right away, like you just were part of that team and you really felt like a kinship with these people. It kind of really gave you something that you didn't have early on before, because you were a not tall type guy, back then. Well,
on a team, there were really guys even shorter than I. So, and there were 6'4" guys, right? And then 400 pounds guys. And then on a team, there were guys that they were 100 pounds, 120 pounds, So, everybody there, I was about 110 pounds then. So, there was, it's a team. So, the lowest weight was about 110 pounds, 52 kilos, so 114 pounds. But the highest was about, above 280. So then some guys were 350, 400 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh,
big guy. If you walk with a guy like that in a city, then, everybody knows.
They're leaving you alone.
If you're in a city, let's say, that has like 50,000 people, then yes, tomorrow, everybody knows.
Oh, that's great. Did you feel like when you got into it, did you enjoy it right off the bat? Did you feel like this is something that is really something that I could, do, and it's going to be an impact in my life for a long time?
I really love, weightlifting. It was like gymnastics, and I love gymnastics. I wanted to be a gymnast, but there was no team and there were no coaches there in the city. But Olympic weightlifting is like, super gymnastics. It's just the lift is so complicated, like snatch is so complicated, and requiring so much flexibility, mobility, ability, and timing. It's just incredible lift. It's just the difference between, it's almost like vault, right? You run fast and you do certain thing. But the certain thing that you do in Olympic weightlifting is always the same, and you improve the same, and then you improve the strength, right? So it's like, in a way, high jump, or pole vault, that it's kind of the same skill, but the resistance is higher because the bar is higher. It's more difficult.
Right.
But the same skill. And when it makes something more difficult, that skill has to be almost relearned because all timing, everything changes. So And I had a great coach. The coach was incredible, it just taught us with a dowel and a stick, and we worked with flexibility until we were ready. So if you were not flexible, you wouldn't go to lift. So that's kind of I try to do with the Happy Body, and try to bring people into the position to be flexible. And flexibility is so important in life anyway.
Yeah,
it can prevent injuries. It prevents the body talking to you.
It is exactly. We're going to keep going right back to that.
Yeah, so you don't want the body talking.
That's our whole theme of this entire podcast episode: is leave the body alone. But I was always been fascinated with the Olympic weightlifting. I come from more like a kettlebell background, which has some similar aspects of it, but very different in sport. But what I've seen from Olympic lifters who have continuously progressed and kept it going is that flexibility. Like, you have to maintain that flexibility in your body, where a lot of other strength modalities, you can get super strong, but it can contract and tighten you up really quick. And then all of a sudden you realize that you've got some issues, down the line. So that was something that I always respected from that Olympic weightlifting program.
Yeah. And you have to be extremely fast. So the speed is another part of Olympic weightlifting. There was this lifter who squatted, the power lifter who squatted 1,100 pounds, and then he tried to transfer to the Olympic weightlifting, and he was a big guy. He was 400 pounds. I talked to him in Colorado Springs, and he said that when he came to the lifting about 220 kilo and 240 kilo, and 260 was at that time a world record. He said, when I came to the 240, everything worked, but above that, like, brain stops. Suddenly that, he had, the thing is with him that he needed only 750 pound squat in order to make the world record, but he squatted 1,100. But also, he was too slow for the lifting Olympic weightlifting. So he was a lot of more stronger than that the lift needed, but he also needed to be fast.
Yes. And
that brain was not in him developed. So it would take another 5 years to develop that speed, that capability to snap in, snap, right? That snapping is mostly needed in athletics in general. Like you can see snapping or high jump or, long jump, high jump, pole vault. It's the run, snap, right? You have to snap. And then all the throws, like, you can see baseball pitcher, it's a snap, right? It has to be tennis the same, and pole vaulting and water polo and football, almost all sport depend on a very short snap. Ice hockey, it's everywhere. And that's just the power that usually exists for about mostly 5 seconds. Most of it is 5 seconds, but it really can be split of the second, like a snatch, or 1 second, or tennis. You see, like a split of the second when the ball meets the racket, right? That's where the snap happens.
It's so fascinating, such the difference in one modality of some speed training and that power could be such a big difference because somebody who like that is squatting 1,100 pounds, you think that dropping that down by 40%, they could do anything with that weight, but it's a completely different movement. It's a completely different, aspect. And I came from like a baseball background for a while, and everything's about that quick torque, like everything's that snap. And I saw some guys who were not big guys, but they knew how to use their body and just power through their hips, and they could throw 90 plus miles an hour. And it's amazing when you see it, because it's all that power that they can transfer in one.
Also, it's really hips, and the spine become a whip.
Yeah.
So when you move back, you have to back like spine and use the spine to throw, right? So the spine goes back, and it throws actually the arm. The arm is not really doing the job, and the shoulder is not doing the job. It's just the whip. So when you think about the throw, you go back, and then the spine is back, is arched, right? That's why thoracic spine has to be flexible for that. And then from that level, spine goes forward and through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine like volleyball, right? When the hitter goes up, right? And goes back, arches back. And now it's just the spine. Boom, right? Snap. It says snap. But the snap comes from the spine.
Yes.
And those who don't snap from the spine is a whole core system really does it, right? The whole body. So those who don't learn that, they throw from the shoulder and usually injure the shoulders over and over.
Exactly.
It's just too small muscle to power the movement.
Yeah, it's interesting. I worked with a young baseball player, and he worked with a company called Driveline, all on pitching. And the breakdown of their video that they sent him, and we went over it together, and how they talk about like the C, like when a pitcher follows through, their front leg should drive and then almost explode through and down. So you see their leg and their arm makes this C. And that's where hips, all that, right? Exactly. And the hips, they snap through. So everything's about driving that weight through the ground. And at that right time, as the ball explodes to the hand, everything just radiates up. And you can see such that correlation in Olympic weightlifting, where it's all that stuff just snaps right at the right time.
Yeah, it's like a snatch, when the body is like that. It's really, the body becomes like C, you see, like a ball, right? Because once it goes the bar up, the body goes back and snap under, right? So it's always, you use every inch of the body to make the throw big, fast, right? Or make the lift. So every inch, ankles are working, toes are working, knees are working. So everything is helping. That's why it's a whip. Right? In the whip, you're using everything. You use the hips, you use the legs, you twist the body, right? Because you're also twisting, you can see that, like when the throw is like, so when you go back, you don't go on the back, but also you go in a twist. So then you have a core that is back and twisted, right? And then you go forward. Now you can imagine that now you untwist the body, right? And then you throw forward the body. So it goes twist and forward. So the spine, the power of the spine is humongous. And then the reserve of that is humongous. And then those who don't have flexibility of the spine, or that flexibility is not developed, they will not be able to be skillful. So they will be compromised, and the skill will be compromised. So they will depend on muscle that is smaller. It is so that comes with overuse of the muscle, and usually the body breaks.
Yeah. And it's amazing too, when somebody does it right, it's just how beautiful and graceful it looks too. It is absolutely gorgeous. Seeing, like, I was just thinking, there was a volleyball player I saw on a slow motion doing that. It just looks so beautiful when they go up and everything opens up and extends. And it's the same thing when you see somebody on the platform and they hit that lift, and it's like, it's such a beautiful, it's such a beautiful thing to see.
And the body, goes back. A lot of Chinese lifters are incredible in the bowing backward. They get such a flexibility and when you have such flexibility, then your skill is almost perfect. You don't have to pull the bar too high, because you are able to go under and you go into deep squat. So it means like overpulling doesn't exist for these guys who are very skillful and very flexible, because you cannot be skillful if you are not flexible.
Yes.
The flexibility is the number one. So when you have flexibility, you can be skillful. But if you cannot sit down with your glutes 2 inches off the ground or 3 inches, but you sit with 10 inches, then you have 7 inches. You have to overpull the bar higher than others.
Right.
So then you have handicap.
Yeah. In your experience working with people in Olympic lifting, have you seen that a lot of people come in and they don't have the flexibility yet necessary in order to do the lifts that they want to do right off the bat?
Yes, and flexibility, usually trainers, of all kind of athletes in America, is that trainers are not developing flexibility. So if they are not developing flexibility, then they get stuck with power clean or power snatch, right? Without going down. But if you're not going down, then you don't train the flexibility of the deep squat. But if the deep squat happens in your sport, the body will talk to you, because you will end up with end of flexibility, and then you will tear the body. Mm-hmm. So if you do half squat, let's say, right, and then you do on the cleans that use half squat, mm-hmm. then if you're a volleyball player and then you play and you go into the position sometimes that you have to go that, and that position, that angle is not trained, mm-hmm. you are in danger.
Okay.
You're in danger of, let's say, tearing your knee, or your ligaments in the knee, mm-hmm. because the quadricep is very tight there. This is your training angle, 90 mm-hmm. degrees, right? It's not that one. It's that one. So if you train that one, right, let's say 30 degrees mm-hmm. Angle, and then all the here, right? So if you train that, then you will never be injured, because there is no way that you will be playing in any sport and you will end up with that angle. So that's why in trainings, that angle, that are crucial, should be trained more and more. That what happens in sport, like a hitter or the catcher. Mm-hmm. Catcher is the one that sits in a way, right? Mm-hmm. In the sitting position,
yep.
and is going to catch. So developing here flexibility of his hips, ankles, everything else, so he can sit, comfortably, is the number one. Mm-hmm. If he sits on his toes because he's not flexible, that he's already not stable. Also, yes. He will be wearing himself out because he's on toes.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So he cannot be too long on those toes, right? So his also capability of the movement is limited, because if you sit, with the feet on the floor, right, on the grass, mm-hmm. pool, then you have more flexibility. Once you move the heels off the ground, you start losing the capability to yes. move and adapt the body that is needed when something awkward happens. And of course, when the ball is coming right mm-hmm. to you, that's what you need. You need to be fast, and you mm-hmm. need to be very skillful in a way, and mm-hmm. you have to be solid, right? So you can you can make those moves.
Right. When you think like a baseball, like a catcher is probably catching 150 balls in a game down in there, getting up and down so that's a whole lot of compensation going on at one time.
Yes, and wear and tear can happen easily, like with the shoulders, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are not using the spine, the shoulders will break. So if you are not using the feet here, the ankles are too tight, then you go on your toes. Mm-hmm. So if you are really solid, then you will be using hips to move the body to catch the right way, right? Mm-hmm. But if you are on toes, one thing that is going to happen is really a little bit maybe harder, but also wear and tear will tire you, right? Exhaust the body.
Right.
Then the reactions can be slower.
Yeah, this is why the work that I've seen you do and talking to you here, Jerzy, is how you've talked about it takes time to build these up, and we're always in a hurry, just as people to go on. But the term that you used that I love was micro progressions. I never heard that term before in coaching. But what is, when you said that micro progressions in that, what do you mean by that? How would you describe that term?
I think that every coach knows what is it, right? Especially coaches that are coaches of improving something that is one thing, right? Mm-hmm. So those that are like long jump, right? They're just doing only that thing. So, and pole vault, right? This is just one thing that you improve over time. So when you have something like that, then it is connected to numbers, and the numbers are connected to you. So let's say you have you can lift only 150 pounds, right? But the world record is 450 pounds, right? Okay, so you are missing 300 pounds. Okay, but you are 15 years old or 17 years old, right? So there's this Russian coach in Olympic weightlifting. He said, I need 10 years to develop the national champion. If I don't have it, I will never make one. I will break that one before. So it means one thing.
Because you're pushing too hard and they're not ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. The progress is too fast. And when the progress is too fast, adaptation doesn't happen. So what really is happening is so that you have to have accumulation of repetitions. And during this accumulation of repetitions, the body adapts to all the movements and so on, and everything becomes easier, more fun. And so a weightlifter experiences, the joy of lifts, is snapping like a broom, right? And then keeps doing this, even though is ready for increasing, but adaptation time has to happen. So it has to be time to adapt that lifter to that weight. And when it's adapted, then you go to another level. Another plan is, written, and another 6 weeks is happening, and on and on and on to actually create such a lifter that on that level of 450 pounds, right? But that's about micro progression throughout the 10 years, right? And usually it takes 10 years to make an athlete, right? But, at least 5 years you would need to have in order to make, okay lifter, right? Kind of national, competitions and so on. That's how it is with musicians too, right?
Right.
When people say, I don't have 2 years or 5 years, I said, okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to entertain yourself because that's only left for you, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's interesting because I totally understand where you're coming from. Being, in the world of kettlebell training, I've worked with Pavel's system for 12 years now. And it really is just the last couple years that I felt a lot of different, excelling. It took a decade to get there, but now a lot of different things over the last couple of years I've learned and I've developed in my body. But so many things, especially in fitness and fitness industry, is quick results, like the 6-week programs and the 12-week programs and stuff. And then 5 years is it's like, this is going to take some time of going in. So it's just a different mentality.
Yeah. All these programs they don't have goals. They have big ideas, but there's no measurable goal. That's why they can claim whatever they can claim, right? But, if you have a goal, then you cannot claim because suddenly, there is a goal. So, those athletes have goals. So once you have a goal, it makes you humble right away.
Right.
It's just like, it's like when you don't have a goal, so, when you do this program, you will feel better, you will lose weight, but nobody says how many pounds and what's going to happen. What's the plan for it? Right. No way, right? So it's mostly, entertaining with the idea of experience, having good time. That's what I hear. And I think that the goal is having good time. So, okay, we can have a good time. After 10 years, nothing happens, but we had a good time. Right. Okay, if you want that, fine.
Right. Yeah.
But, for me, it's like a waste of 10 years. 10 years is a lot of years that you can become incredible, awesome body system that you can develop. And then after this 10 years, you will have the body that will not talk to you for another 50 years.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You know,
so that's a system that is, resistant to almost anything. It's unbreakable.
Yeah.
I had this Zen master that I coach, and he developed this. Yeah, he contacted me because he developed this pain in the back, and he meditated, and he was the master, and that pain was so much that he once said that I'm going to kill myself. I cannot meditate. It's like a year passed and pain is there, right? So I met him. He was in Canada, and then I described him how to make it happen. The body, you have to build the robust body, indestructible body that I told him. And he said, "Oh, everybody is destructible." It's like a Zen. I said, "Yeah, but listen to that." And I talked more about it. And he said, "I understand now." And he said, "Okay, how do you understand it?" And he gave me this really amazing image. He said, "Well, I see it like that. A river goes down 20 miles per hour, and I want to go up 10 miles per hour, but my body can go only 30 miles per hour. So if I want to go 10 miles, I'm using my body, the whole body system, 100%, and I can break any moment, right? And your body can go 100 miles per hour. So if you want to go 10 miles per hour up, you're using only 30% body. It means you can never break." I said, "You got it."
What a beautiful analogy. Oh, I love that.
You got it. I said, yeah. And he said, "I'm going to work on it." I said, "Okay." So some months after, he calls me and he said, "My body goes 40 miles per hour."
Oh, that's all beautiful. Oh, he's going to let, I love that.
It's a beautiful image. And that is, should be, the aim and goal, somehow a measurable goal. What is this 100 miles per hour, right? Also should be established. That's why, in the Happy Body, we established the goals and measurable goals. So actually, because once you know what you need to do and you can measure, where you're going and where you are, it makes you very humble right away. Boom. So you're already humble. And then, but also it gives you the tangible, numbers that you can actually make it happen to yourself. Plan and strategies, time, and you can pursue that, and you can, develop, a way of progression, micro progression. You start understanding micro progression because you have plan, you have data, and you have certain way of knowing where you are in every point of that journey, how you progress and what happens to you, and how what to do in order to deal with obstacles, and whether they are mental obstacles or they are physical obstacles. Everything matters then. But if you have a plan that doesn't have all these numbers, right, then you are in the world of, hey, we had a good time. Yeah, that was a good time. All right, that was a good time.
Right.
I cannot imagine weightlifters, after the train say we had a good time.
Yeah. Right.
That would be funny.
Yeah. Well, when the micro progression, I think it's easy to recognize and understand on the physical side, right? Like if you get stronger, it's numbers, right? If you lifted 150 pounds and then you lifted 175 pounds, okay, that's a very easy thing to understand. All right, I'm making progress. The mental side of it is very different. It seems like it's much more unknown, and it's much more individualized to different people depending on, just their upbringing, of what they've experienced in their life and stuff. So in the Happy Body program, how do you work on the mental side of the micro progressions?
Well, we have, we've written a lot of, to help people to actually help them to build the mental strength and build the self-control. For people that have self-control, then they see this, with the development of mental inner strength, or self-control strength, self-discipline, it is progress that can be seen backward, but not forward. So when you in weightlifting, you see forward what you need to do, right, and kind of measure it, right. But your experiences as you progress, you see the journey backward, right? And then when you have more and more self-control, when you read more, when you read poems, when you meet with people that they are positive, they are oriented for solutions in life and positive solutions, when the master is already developed, then you have the chances to develop yours as well. But a lot of you need to do. If you're an angry person, then you can measure your anger in a way backward, whether you are still angry or not, and how angry you are, right? If you respond to people on a freeway that would do something wrong, right, and you are talking to them, then you have to work on yourself, right? And you start working not to do that, right? But it's like you said, it's that that system that is built is a side effect of many things. That's why in Stoicism there is a virtues idea. Virtues are all those things that we build up, and then the side effect of that is happiness, right?
Yes.
So when you have all these virtues in place, or the quality of those things, they show up in your life, and then you live the life of a happy person or not, right? Or that happiness is kind of measurable as well. So one of the books that, let me look for the books. So I first, about maybe 8 years ago, I noticed that people have voices, and they have different voices to different situations and different challenges, and they respond differently to that. But there is a constant mixture of a voice for the hard choice or for the easy choice, right? So I try to understand the voices and try to really get idea how to embrace, how to show it. And as I work more with people who responded to me, had really challenges, like in diet, following the plan, following the food, following the calories, and all of it are mental challenges. So then I start seeing that there is an interaction. Interaction is almost like good and bad, right? But there is I saw that there is a struggle between that, where the choice really belongs to. And then in the book, you can see that there is a fatalist and the master. Okay. And there's a choice in the middle. So if the master and fatalist are equal, 50-50, then the struggle happens. Do it or not to do it, right? Okay. Eat it or not to eat it. Lift it or not to it. And it somehow, has to happen with that one has to get stronger. And then when one gets stronger, wins the whole thing. Right, you're feeding one of them. That you don't go to the gym, or you just get up and go to the gym. So in order to develop that awareness for people, I created these 5 different voices and levels. So people could, by reading, could experience these voices. And after, when they could experience the voices, they could identify how, when they actually in situation, what is the voice that they are actually talking or responding, speaking at that time. So what are they? Let me show you the situation. So this one is the fatalist owns the choice. When the fatalist owns the choice, this is the time when the person doesn't have any energy, is completely depressed, and doesn't have any energy almost to do anything. It's a suicidal, situation for the person. It's really hard to pull out of that. It's all darkness. It's all negative. Nothing is positive. It's very sad situation where a person can be. I was in that situation in Poland when I was alcoholic. That's why maybe I could actually create those voices. I had them. So then I started writing in that voice with different situations, right?
Oh, okay.
And then I created the voice that is 75% fatalist.
Okay.
And you have the idea.
Yeah.
And then 50-50, right?
Okay.
And then going back to the master. Master is, 75%.
Okay.
Or the master is 100%. And the 100% master is, Buddha, Jesus, right? 75 would be Gandhi or some kind of people that they are incredible.
Yeah,
right?
the pure energy. Yeah.
The Stoics, right? So, would be 90%, for example, right? So, okay, now I have these 5 different ways of responding to a situation. Then I created 12 different situations when people are in, right? And then to these scenarios, I created the response. When the person is at the, let's say, at the dinner, and at the dinner is, everything possible, but when person is on a diet, wants not to eat too much. And then the response happens, right? And the response happens, the first is negative, the voice, what the negative says. And then what is that voice that fatally 75%? And what is the person that is, half-half? And in a half-half is the point of the book is how to outwit the fatalist when they are equal. You wake up in the morning and you have equal almost energy to go to the gym or not.
Right.
And, it's like 50-50 in a way, right? And the voices are very fast because in the mind, we speak very fast.
Yes.
So the images are, 100, times faster than the way we speak because they are thoughts. They are really fast. So all of it is, so if here is the dialogue that takes two pages, right? It happens like in seconds, right? In our mind when we actually are going to do something or not. And outwitting that fatalist by the master, getting that voice of the master is the purpose of it. Because once you can do that, then you are 51% master and 49 fatalist. It means, that half glass full or empty happens here. So half glass empty, it means that you have fatalistic, approach to life.
Yeah.
But half full, you're always in a positive. You turn everything into positive. And that's the switch is here. And usually we are kind of equal with whatever we are doing in life, or we never developed yet these capabilities of responding as people that are half full, right? So how to turn yourself from a person that complains, and you don't want to complain, right? Okay, mentally first you say, okay, I think that complaining is not a good thing. All right, so now we have the situations, about how fatalists would talk about complaining, right?
Right.
Love it, right? Complaining is good. Complaining is the only way the world is messed up.
Right.
And on, right?
Yeah.
If you have a master that is 25%, the master would say, yeah, but maybe we complain too much. We cannot do anything. Let's shut up. That
right.
They're strong. But if they are equal, masters say, this complaint is not a good thing, and the fatalist is equal. So, what do you think? Is it a really good thing? Look, everybody complains. Look at the world. The world is complaining, it's entertaining itself, right? So the master says, yeah, but we cannot do anything. We are worn out by complaining. We complain and blame.
Right.
We cannot do anything. So why would you do anything? And then on. This kind of a dialogue is there, but if the master is a little bit stronger and smarter, we can say, well, what if we decide to do actually something and not to complain for a day? Would be actually maybe a good test. Oh, well, what do you think? I don't think that's a good idea and so on. Mm-hmm. Can we test that? Well, maybe we could test it.
Right.
Okay. So in this way, you have the fatalist on your side that actually is willing to test something. And that you have the fatalist right on, right? Because if you test goodness, if you test something that is good, then the master gets stronger too. So recognizing this language of all these different people, right, helps. First, awareness is developed.
Right.
You start, learning about yourself, what you say, and what is the strength. Is it the fatalist talking? Is it the master talking? And how strong is the master, or how strong is the fatalist? Mm-hmm. You need to work on it. So at the end of the book, right, we have this practice of the scenarios, and people can write their own voices. They can actually practice.
Wow. Okay.
Right? The voices. And then at the end of the book, there are situations set up that you can create your own scenario. And then you can write your voices. And then once you do it, then more practice, you are more aware of it. Then what happens really next is that you recognize those voices in other people.
Wow.
And that places you in the power spot.
Right.
Because once you recognize that fatalist is talking to you, now you have a chance to go away.
Right. And right? that logical step is to share that with others once you found it yourself.
Of course. But once you get into the debate with the fatalist, you will never win, right? It will take you down, it will waste your time and so on. So, you have the capabilities now because of developing that awareness that if you have a, fatalist, then you can go away and find the master somewhere. Right? If you find the master, if somebody is talking to you and you hear the master voice, right? That's an interesting person. That person can help you. That person can, pull you out of your, difficult situation, right? And build more in you goodness, build that willpower toward, something that is good for you. Because it's really hard to do it in life. It's, the hardest thing that it is, but that's why I tell people, the wisdom of life is to fall in love with something what you don't like, but it's good for you. And that thing kind of, those books were written with that person to take you there. Because we have a lot of complaining, we have a lot of sarcasm, a lot of that that is working against us.
Right. That breakdown of the voices, Jerzy, is one of the greatest that I've heard. That is of having, because I think we get in struggles of not wanting to think that that voice, that fatalist is there. It's like, we don't want to hear it. We want to just think that we should have these good thoughts and why can't I get through this? And even though we have those negative thoughts, what you've done is you've given it its own voice. It's like, it's not an abstract thing that you need to be afraid of. You can actually bond with it and understand where that's coming from. It's kind of like the scary movie. It's like the scariest part is that you don't see the killer or the monster. It's as soon as you see it, then there's no more fear anymore. So by actually taking an exercise and, talking about what does the fatalist say right now, you can become aware of it. And then, oh, this is coming up again. I know in the morning time, I might not feel like going to the gym and he's going to say this. This is what I can say. I'm going to get myself out of it. And you're going to build better habits from it.
Yeah, there's a saying. You remember the saying like Lao Tzu, he said, watch your thoughts, they become words, right?
Yes.
He starts with that. So this is exactly what happens to us when we are so unaware. The thoughts are going very fast, but they don't become words before we speak words, right? The thoughts become words without us to speak them.
Yes.
They come out of us, right? And boom. And then, anger comes out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Or, blame comes out, or, complaining comes out.
Or resentment, yeah.
Because we cannot catch it. So once you being aware of the words, right, that voices, then you start having awareness and you start catching them when they're actually talking to you inside your head. Right, so you have a chance now to pick, right, how you're going to respond. So you become awareness is created in your mind of those voices. So you're not anymore the person that is, unconscious. You are becoming the conscious person about, what thoughts are in your mind.
Yeah. Right,
and they are contradictive thoughts sometimes, many of them, right? Mm-hmm. So then you start identifying the voices, start identifying the power of the voice, so that becomes the tool for you, mm-hmm. or for anybody, right?
Yeah.
Then in that Lao Tzu said, watch your words, they become actions. Mm-hmm. It's exactly right? Actions. Mm. So it means like you can do something, right? You can do something that is not good if your words are coming from the fatalist, right? If your fatalist gave you the words and you spoke them, then action becomes after.
Yes,
that can be really not a good thing. Mm. You start really blaming somebody, right? Or you are angry. Now the Lao Tzu said, then after, watch your actions, they become habits, right? They become habits. So now suddenly you're over and over reacting in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
As an angry person, let's say, right? And then you listen to the fatalist and that's how you respond. Mm-hmm. And that becomes your habit. And then what your habits, they become your character. Right? You're completely integrated. And then what's your character? It becomes your destiny.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can think how important it is, right? Mm-hmm. To know or somehow to be aware where the words are coming, where the thoughts, right? And recognizing that so you have a chance before you speak, because before you respond, to have a chance there for the dialogue between the master and the fatalist.
Yes.
Right? And that's why, I came out with a little bit different scenario. So I said, choose the art, they become your emotions, right? Because the art becomes now, if you're a poem, the poem becomes emotions.
Yes.
It's not really words yet, right? So the art is even before that. when you write the poem, when you read the poem, something happens to you inside.
Yes.
And these are your emotions. So it's coming from the art, right? And then choose your emotions. They become your feelings, right? Now you have a feeling. First, before it's just emotions are like energy inside of you that you do not understand, right? But when you have a feeling, you name it. You're angry, right? You have the feeling. You're a kind person. You have the feeling, right? You name it. And then choose your feelings. They become your images. And now, not only the feeling, now the feeling comes with the image. Let's say if you have a kindness, then the image of kindness happens to you.
Right.
Right? You see something like you see Thich Nhat Hanh, right? Somewhere where he talks about, when he teaches walking, like a walking meditation, right? So that gets you there. Or, right? And choose your images, they become your words, you see? And then we start overlapping with Lao Tzu.
Wow.
Right? And we see how art is important, to develop the emotions, the feeling, and the words, and then becomes the words. Choose your words, they become your thoughts. And that's where it goes
all the way back, full circle.
Full circle. Well, what Lao Tzu said, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Right?
Wow.
Then you see how important it is to work on so many levels to create the goodness within you.
Right.
That you cannot really create it if you have the fatalist, winning the battle. You have to work on yourself to create the possibility that you create that goodness, the master within that has, more to say. And then once you get to 51%, you get to 52, 55, 57, 60, and then 70. And then when you live that way of life, you never complain, you never blame, you're not sarcastic, you have a really good life, you focus on what is good, what is kind, become that kind of a person. And there is no waste really of any kind when it comes to what to do or how to be a good person.
Yeah. It is. It's going from what you said from Lao Tzu and then how you added to that and how it just came full circle. I think it was the Marcus Aurelius quote of, the key to our happiness is the quality of our thoughts, comes from the Stoicism in that. So it's kind of the same thing that we're going through.
It's interesting. Happen, right? Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you said that with art because, when we were talking about, poetry before, like anytime I write, if I write an article or an email, like I just kind of write it as it's going. But when I was writing poetry, I actually see the image in front of me of what I'm doing and I'm describing it in a poem. So it's kind of the same thing. And we talk about that in strength training of visualization, like looking at the bar, like going through the patterns in our head. Want to do the same thing in our art and in our writing because that's what brings our thoughts out. And the key to happiness and the happy body, as you said, it's like, be just all about that. And then the body, you'll leave the body alone.
Well, it's like, the mind, the mind is a beautiful thing, like the body is a beautiful thing. It's just sometimes, we have, bad craft and that craft is possible to change. So we don't have to live a life of a complaint, right? And a complaint, these are the thoughts, these are the words they are becoming, right? Blaming, it's the same thing, but it's a draining energy, and that also, those words, right? It's a negative thing to complain because you're a victim. And it's connected to victimism, the victim, and you victimize yourself in a way. So you act like that, and when you blame, you can do the same thing. You don't put yourself into a situation of trying to find a solution. It blocks you from the solution.
Yes.
Once you spend energy for the complaining and blaming, you get stuck. You get stuck it's a trap. It's a trap that you cannot get out, and you cannot be constructive. You cannot really choose hard choices. Your easy choices are chosen, right? And you cannot improve. So, once you are becoming aware that the complaining and blaming are thoughts, they are thoughts before they became words, they can be intercepted with arts, and the art can actually help us with those feelings and emotions, right? And end up with the possibility of changing the pattern.
Yes.
Which is really crucial. And I think that that is very crucial to work with what I work here to help my clients with the master and fatalist. Yeah. And then as soon as we win one battle, we go to another one, and then we can start creating our destiny. Like Lao Tzu said, destiny. This is huge, right? Yeah. When you go in the reverse, you go to the character, habits, words and thoughts, that, and that's where it's coming from. And, we are not doing anything actually to deal with, right? It doesn't have sense. It's like, it has to be something that helps us to work toward, that light, right? That goodness, that is something that helps us. And I thought the art is doing it. Mm-hmm. And art is extremely important in our life. They can be not consciously knowing what they are doing, but they are doing it because they are in the emotions, right? There are, there is no thoughts even though there is a feelings right then after, right? And that creates slowly the thoughts and words, and then the way how we live life.
Yeah, it is. And the art side, I can't believe how fast the time flew with you here, Jerzy. It's like, I think we'll have to do a part 2 and we'll get all the way into the art type work as well. So
Tim Ferris said the same thing. It's like 2.5 hours, like that. And we talk about 1 hour and a half already with, Naval and Tim. Mm-hmm. And we would talk for another. Tim says, well, we have to stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. I mean,
sorry, man,
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's how these conversations goes. That's when, it's great. And there's so much value, from it. The work that you're putting out with the happy body, from the physical side, as well as the mental side, is of such value. And it's been really just great hearing it firsthand from you and your experiences and building this up. So I really appreciate you taking the time. This is great.
Yeah, thank you. I took about 18 years to find the happy body, find the standards, and find what is really something that guarantees, the good life from the physical point of view. So we established 6 standards. Put the numbers in, and we understood that. But then took 18 years to write it.
Yeah,
to really comprehend.
Then the sweet science comes, yeah,
and also to write the philosophy behind it to help actually people with willpower, self-control, self-discipline. To create knowledge of why is it important, why actually to do that, right? So all of it took 18 years. So now we are approaching to end of 18 years. So next 18 years is really, we will be trying to find out what is the language, what are the words to use to expose the happy body to anybody in the world.
That's great.
That's what our next 18 years are going to be. We understand that easy choices are easy choices, and they they contribute to our not good life, and create a lot of waste.
Yes.
Waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money. It's just a lot of waste. So to create the way toward that awareness of where is the struggle, where is the self-control, where is delayed gratification, how to create that is going, and the happy body, how the happy body is a mindful system, how the happy body is a singular brain system that helps us almost like TM meditate.
Yeah.
You actually do it 30 minutes and you have the experience of meditation like TM, which is really beautiful, way of meditating. I do TM for 33 years now. And, I see how the happy body was also created with that meditative aspect. Why when we actually breathe this certain way and we give the mindful 100% focus toward that. Mm-hmm. And then, it would be fantastic, and you will be probably helping us to do that.
Absolutely. Any way that I can. Mm-hmm.
How to make it happen that the regular human being can take the happy body and will be able to deliver for himself this physical way of living when the body doesn't talk back.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, love it. Exactly. Just leave it alone. So
leave me alone.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
I'm 90 years old, but leave me alone. Don't come back.
That's so funny.
Don't talk to me.
I love it. That's my favorite. So, books are out on the Happy Body. We'll get a link directly in there for anybody to that they can go in and check your stuff out. Is there anywhere else that we can send listeners to see more of your teachings or more of your content?
I think that our web to start, and there is very active the Happy Body Facebook, and it's not as active because we've never done anything for marketing.
Yep.
So that's what we are going to get into it, and so soon probably will be more on Instagram and on Facebook, trying to create for people a way of interacting. Also, I have 1 hour Zoom that people who buy the book, so it is something you see here.
Okay. Yep.
So those who have questions and they have difficulties to understand certain things, I have 1 hour every day Zoom. It's free. They can come, talk to me, have questions, and I'm answering those questions. And the whole world is talking the whole world is talking to me. I don't know who is going to come, right?
Oh, so, beautiful. Oh, love it.
And people come sometimes 1 question or 2, and then in 2-3 months I say, come in 2-3 months and let me know. The Happy Body way is a living that way of life forever. Like,
yes, like
a bulb, it's shining and then it's gone, right? So that's how we want to die. That, it's on, it's good, no talk back. Oh. And, it's going in sleep. It's going in a sleep.
And that's great. Oh, what a good value. Yeah, that's great. That's such a great value that you do that. Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the purpose. And of course, comes with practice, comes with philosophy, comes with art, comes with, meditation, comes with, spirituality to take, care of, right? Everything what is good has to be addressed to create that kind of, goodness in life that you find happiness, right?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Jerzy, thank you so much. This is absolutely great. So much value here. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to doing this again sometime soon.
Oh, me too.
Absolutely. Listeners, thank you so much. Catch Jerzy out. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like the show, please give it a 5-star review, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. And if you want to get the inside scoop on all new episodes coming up, behind the scenes insights, and free training resources, then you can join the Strength Connection private Facebook group now. Just go to Facebook groups, type in the Strength Connection, and join in. Also, don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.